does things to me that makes me act out like that.
I think you go nuclear very quickly.
I have a temper, Your Honor. I have an anger. I have a temper, Your Honor.
In today's session of Divorce Court, after 8 years of marriage, Kenan Johnson says he's divorcing LaTerra Johnson because her temper is out of control.
One time, we was watching TV. She dozed off, so I grabbed the remote and everything, and I decided to change the channel. What'd you change my TV for? What'd you do that for and everything? I'm watching it right there. Here she is, grabbed the remote, boop, 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 side my head.
It wasn't boop, boop, boop. It was just a what the? One time.
And you know what?
Hang on. You have to sit him down, because he keep running his mouth.
Now, Mrs. Johnson, if I gonna sit anybody down, it's gonna have to be you.
That's it right there.
But LaTerra says she loses her cool because Kenan cheats on her with other women.
My husband comes home smell like another woman from head to toe.
Well, now, did you sniff him all over? How did you
I even
know?
got my sister-in-law to cover her eyes up, and I guided her head around the area so she could
No, wait.
Yeah.
You made her sniff?
around the area because he claimed, I'm going to tell you, Anna, he claimed that I didn't know what I was doing.
Mrs. Johnson, you have a very supportive family.
She's the judge who gives rules on the law and life. She's intense with common sense. She's Judge Lynn Toler, where real couples deal with real life. Divorce Court. We now join Kenan and LaTerra Johnson as Judge Lynn hears their case.
Mrs. Johnson, you have a witness with you who is Quentin Thompson, who I believe is your brother?
Yes.
And he will be speaking to us a little later about the information that he has. Mr. Johnson, you have brought Mrs. Johnson here seeking $450 to be reimbursed for clothes that she either bleached, cut up, or otherwise did away with. Mrs. Johnson, I'm going to start with you. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your marriage and why we're here in divorce court today?
It's never been a marriage. We have been together for 6 years. We've been married 6 years. We've been together 8. My husband is a cheater and a professional liar.
A professional liar?
No, yes, ma'am, a professional liar. Let me talk pimping. You gonna get your change.
Whatever.
Let me talk pimping. Don't cut me off.
Whatever.
Let me talk pimping.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, give me a moment. Mrs. Johnson, you go ahead, and I will give you an opportunity to respond.
Let me give you an example, Your Honor. My husband told me one time that he lost his phone. And he did have a tendency to lose his phone every now and again. But this particular time, he told me he lost his phone. So, days go by. My children tells my brother that they've been seeing my husband going into a vacant apartment. So my brother goes to investigate this apartment he's been going in. Come to find out, not only is his phone been in there, they got a mattress, a heater, a radio. Oh, he done set him up a whole hideout.
No.
Was he bringing other women there, or was he just hanging out?
Let me get to that, Your Honor. Yes, ma'am. So my brother brings me the phone. He had it for a day. He didn't want to bring it to me right off, so he waited a day to bring it to me. So I goes through this phone. I see text messages of other women, their phone number. So I call these females. They're telling me all kind of things, that they've been over to the house and what have not. So my husband wasn't home. So this is what I did. I sat down with a chair.
She brought a chair to sit down to show me.
I sat down in the chair.
No.
Broke a crutch in half, and as soon as he walked up in the abandoned house, I whacked him because he went straight to the house first.
No.
He goes, what he do, Your Honor? He'll go to the vacant house first.
Before he comes home.
Before he comes home, to use the phone and call these females. They act like he just getting off of work.
Mr. Johnson, did you actually set up a secondary... No, wait, hang on. A secondary home in which you could relax on a mattress, listen to the radio, have a little heat, and call other women before you got home to your wife?
Okay, well, first of all, Your Honor, it was not a vacant apartment. I mean, it's not like as if I just walked in and just set up shop.
Just set up shop.
I can't just do it like that right there. Okay, what it was, a friend of mine, they had stayed there prior. So one time we got into it, and my neighbor heard it, so he came outside and everything. He was like, well, come on, bro, because, it's too cold for you to be outside and everything, because, I had already been outside like 30 minutes already. So I'm saying, so he brought me in and everything, and he was like, well, what's going on? So I explained to him what was going on, and he was like, Okay, then he said, hey, from this point on, every time y'all get into it, still you just hanging outside or doing whatnot, you come over here.
So you're just telling me it's a refuge for when you get thrown out of the house?
Yeah.
It was a safety net.
Your Honor, they had already been moved. They wasn't even there when this happened. These folks had even left some of the they had even left stuff that they didn't want in the house. This house was filthy.
No,
and
it was not.
When he got to the apartment, that's the second time. When he went to the apartment, we locked the door to make sure that we'll know if he went there or not. So guess what? We goes back to the house an hour after we knew he get off work.
You mean you and your brother?
Me and my brother, because he always there with me, because he brought it to me. So we gets to the house, the door lock. You know what I did with a bad bag? I bust through the door like I'm Superwoman. Bust through the door. We found him hiding in the bathroom behind the door.
Nah, that's a lie right there.
Were you hiding in the bathroom behind the door when your wife busted in?
My brother is here, Your Honor. He's the one who got him out the bathroom.
No, Your Honor.
Well, now, Mr. Thompson is your brother.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
he's your big brother. He's always,
Yes,
so, Mr. Thompson, I want you to come up here. I want you to help me out a little bit.
How you doing, Judge?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm all right.
You're all right.
I'm all right.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Now, Mr. Thompson, when did you first begin to suspect that Mr. Johnson was not doing your little sister right?
Let me say it like this here. The first time I noticed that he was messing over my sister was when he and I was working together.
Uh-huh.
And my boss at the job, because I helped him get this job, my boss brought it to me and asked me, you sure that's your brother-in-law or he's just your sister's boyfriend? I said, that's my brother-in-law. He married to my sister. Well, you might want to check him about old girl he constantly being in her face and riding in the car with her lunch and stuff like that.
Okay, I don't have park time.
Okay.
So when my boss told me that, I was like, hold up, what you talking about? And the job I had, I pretty much was able to do what I wanted on the job, so I could move around as I felt. And I sat back and I watched. And I noticed how whenever the girl came around,
Okay, me?
Were you making googly eyes at the co-worker?
No, I was not. I mean, the young lady she's talking about,
Right.
I knew her cousin.
That's
Right.
a lie.
So,
What you
when
need
my
to
car
ride
broke
for?
down, this young woman decided she was going to take us to work. But she decided to stop taking me.
When divorce court continues, just how far did things go the night LaTerra suspected her husband was having an affair?
My husband comes home smelling like another woman from head to toe. And toe.
Kenan Johnson, who is suing his wife for $450, the amount he says she owes for cutting up his clothing. But first, Judge Lynn continues to hear why this couple is divorcing.
Mrs. Johnson, what is the worst thing you've seen Mr. Johnson do? I mean, tell me a story that will outrage me.
Where do I start?
I'm waiting for this.
Start somewhere.
Last week?
And
Last
just keep
week.
going.
Last week, 3 days ago, Your Honor, my husband comes home smelling like another woman from head to toe.
no.
Head to toe.
How you know, Tal?
And told me that he gave one of his friend mamas a hug. Her cologne scent don't soak up in your chest and your groin area. Come on, Your Honor. Come on.
Well, now, did you sniff him all over? How did you
I even got my
Wait.
sister-in-law to cover her eyes up, and I guided her head around the area so she could smell it
wait a
too.
minute, wait.
Yes,
You-
you did.
I cover her eyes up.
And you made her sniff?
Sniff around the area. Because he claimed, I'm going to tell you, Your Honor, he claimed that I didn't know what I was doing.
Mrs. Johnson, you have a very supportive family. I don't know if my sister or anybody would sniff my man
He
for
was trying to
me.
That
bust
was
through
my
the
wife.
door.
That was my wife.
His wife. He trying to bust through the door because he knew what I was about to do.
Mr. Johnson, were you sniffed?
Yes, I was sniffed.
By two women now.
What happened the night that you were sniffed?
I talked to the girl, the little 19-year-old female. I talked to her.
What'd she say?
How he been giving. She says, I just been caking him.
Caking him?
Like getting his money. I'm
Oh.
19 years old. He 37. What I like with an old man, he can't do nothing for me but give me money.
Do you know the 19-year-old she's referring to?
Yes.
Did you have any kind of relationship
No
with her?
type of relationship. None at all.
lying, Pimpin'?
No,
Come on now.
no, I
Come
did
on,
not.
Pimpin', tell
No,
me
I did
right.
not. No,
Tell
I
me right,
am
Pimpin'.
telling the right. I am telling the
I
right.
got something else for you, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I'm 7 months pregnant at the time. This
okay.
happened. He tells me to meet him by his sister's house to get some money.
Yes,
I
you
couldn't
did.
drive at the time, but my brother brought me. As we were leaving, guess who I see coming out here? Old bald head over here coming out the stove. So you know what I did? I told my brother, I said, pull over. I said, you got me bent, pimpin'. You got me bent. Guess who waiting on him? Some female.
No,
so you know what I did, Your Honor? I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to show you exactly what I did. She's sitting up in the car. I'm big pregnant.
No.
Know what I did? Opened the door, snatched her out, and got the wailing on her.
That's why I'm always there, Your Honor. I got to stop her
And
from
you
doing
have
stuff
to
like
stop
that.
because you try to control.
I have to control her temper.
I appreciate, though, because, Mrs. Johnson, you can't run around beating up random women.
Let's talk about her being abusive.
It's not helpful.
Let's talk about her being abusive, first of all.
As far as me being abusive, I don't just wake up and be like, you know what? I just feel like beat my husband upside the head. I don't do that.
You know what?
He makes me do things like that, Your Honor.
Sometimes we don't even have to get into it for them. All of a sudden, you want to just start
Explain
whacking on
that to me. Tell me what she does. I mean, yeah.
Oh man, I mean, what? One time we was watching TV. She dozed off, so I grabbed the remote and everything, and I decided to change channel. So I changed channel and everything. She jumped on everything. What'd you change my TV for? What'd you do that for and everything? I'm watching it right there. How you watch something and everything and you sleep? Explain that to me. So in other words, we had our little words and everything, so I'm going to walk out the door and everything. Here she is with the remote, boop, 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 side my head.
It wasn't boop, boop, boop. It was just a walk up one time.
And you know what?
Hang on.
You can sit him down because he keep running his mouth.
Now, Mrs. Johnson, if I'm going to sit anybody down, it's going to have to be
That's it
you.
right there.
When divorce court continues, what does Kennan have to say about his wife's accusations?
And before I even asked the young lady how much money he gave you, she tells me exact amount of money that he claimed he lost.
Do you claim you lose money and then give it to other women? Was it really necessary to get that loud over a changed channel on the television?
When you jump it up in my face, Your Honor, you know I got back problems and you know I've been ill and stuff. I'm talking to the judge, not you, pimping.
That ain't got nothing to do with
Why do you call him pimping?
Because he don't deserve to be called by his first name. I call him something else every day.
Whoa.
His real name is Female Dog.
And her mouth it is, yeah. That's the problem right there.
Mrs. Johnson, do you run around calling that man names that he ought not be called?
How about my
Only
parents?
when it gets to a point where he does something to me. Like I said, Your Honor, I just don't wake up and want to be violent and emotionally abusive to him. He does things to me that makes me act out like that.
Mrs. Johnson, I think you go nuclear very quickly.
I have a temper, Your Honor. I have a temper, Your Honor.
Mrs. Johnson, tell me what the final straw was.
The final straw is the fact of I'm tired of talking to these other women on the phone about my husband. He coming home smelling like I'm giving them our money for the household.
How do you know he's giving them your money?
Because I've met with the female, and she told me on numerous occasions it's too coincidental that you lose a certain amount of money. And before I even
shows up with it.
Yeah, and before I even asked the young lady how much money he gave you, she tells me exact amount of money that he claimed he lost. Come on, Your Honor.
Talk about that.
Do you claim you lose money and then give it to other women?
No, this thing about, you know what, this particular time right here, I actually did lose some money. I really did. And what she's talking about,
How much money did you lose?
About like $80-something.
So how about the woman? Where did the woman come involved?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how that just came about like that. I mean, I don't know. Well,
I can tell you, Your Honor.
I don't know.
The other night when we had got into it, I said, I want to get all my clothes. I'm getting the clothes out the trunk, me and my sister-in-law. So he always keeps his phone in his pocket. It never rings or anything. So guess what I see on the passenger side in the car? His phone. I went through him, called the girl. That's when I found out everything about that. And that's only one incident that he's given her money. It's been numerous occasions that he's given her money.
No,
She told me I just been caking him, y'all. I just been caking him.
That's the 19-year-old caking him.
Caking him.
That needs to go on our divorce court dictionary, because I never heard that before.
Just getting the money ain't nothing else involved.
I understand. It makes great sense.
But you can't give me $25 for your little girl no school shoes.
But you kicking a 19-year-old caking you.
Whoa, I got it. Hey, I don't mean no harm. Hey, don't make me like the villain right here. I'm being real about, hey, I don't give nobody no money.
When divorce court continues, Judge Lynn rules. But first, Judge Lynn gives a rule on life to LaTerra.
You ain't helping you, because eventually you will go to jail, or eventually you'll hop on a sister who's tougher than you. Next thing you know, you in the hospital.
I ain't never yet.
Tell me about the $450 you would like me to award you.
Yeah, this right here, y'all. This is what I go through. You gotta come home, you get mad at somebody, and, you know...
Pants cut up.
You destroy my clothes.
I washed them first.
I see the cuts. I see the cuts. Oh, those are cut up, too.
Yeah, I mean,
How many pairs of pants or other clothes did she destroy, and in what manner?
About 6 pair of pants, about 4 shirts, 2 pair of J's, a pair of polo boots.
What's a J?
Jordan.
I can replace that, because everything I've cut up, I've always bought back and gave it back to him.
No, he don't ever do this on a regular basis?
Regular basis, because he's always messing up. He's always messing up and cheating on me on a regular basis. So if you don't mess up, your clothes won't get cut up.
When did this last particular batch of clothes get destroyed?
2 days ago.
About 3 days ago. Not 2 days, 3 days ago.
About 2-3 days ago.
Right.
Mrs. Johnson, I'm going to say to you, on behalf of society in general, all of the hooping and hollering and cutting and grabbing and popping and banging, brother's on my side. Bleaching and carrying on does no one any good. Number 2, it ain't gonna make him fall back in love with you. It's not gonna, she bleached my clothes. She must really like me. I'm gonna go back to her. None of that occurs. What you do is you give women a reputation as hysterical beings. We just crazy, going around snatching, beating, kidnapping, popping, binging, banging. All of that doesn't make you look reasonable, and it kind of, it seeps out beyond you, and it touches every woman out there. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, ma'am.
And it doesn't mean that you don't have a reason to be angry, but the anger must be dealt with in a logical manner, because you ain't helping you, because eventually you will go to jail, or eventually you'll hop on a sister who's tougher than you. Next thing you know, you in the hospital.
I ain't never yet.
You know you owe this man $450, right?
I don't owe him no money.
Oh, you do?
I bought it.
You do? It doesn't matter. Once you give it to him, it belongs to him. You cannot destroy property that belongs to another. Once you give them that property, it belongs to them. There will be recovery in the amount of $450 in favor of Mr. Johnson. It is so ordered.
All rise. Parties may leave the courtroom.
No, first of all, if you really actually wouldn't open your mouth, run your mouth to your sister and everything, probably wouldn't be here, bro.
You know what's really messed up? I should have told her every time. Instead of trying to talk to you myself and get you to understand that you're losing out on something beautiful. You realized last night what a beautiful family she come from.
Right.
And they embraced you because of her.
Okay.
And then turn around, you still want to do this type thing to her?
Okay.
Come on, bro. What type of man, what type of boy are you?
What type of boy I am?
You gotta be a boy, because only little boys who play little games.
That's in your eyesight. That's in your eyesight.
Men don't play games.
Hey,
Men take care of their business.
Got my money, I'm good, bro.